it's happened. But for those of you who haven't been lucky enough to know Ollie as long as I have, you may find this difficult to believe, but he hasn't always been this handsome, tall, muscular weapon of a man that you see before us today. No, you are a lucky lady, Lauren, I know. Now, there was a time he was compared to a certain secret agent. Now, this secret agent could do military-style push-ups on just his index finger. He could also shatter metal with his voice. He was also small, pale, and some would say looked slightly malnourished. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you are looking at the human form of Danger Mouse himself. And Ollie has always displayed a physical dominance amongst us all, none more so than in a classic game of British Bulldog back in primary school. Now, for those of you who don't know the game, you start on one end of the field, you make it to the other end of the field without being tapped or tackled by someone in between. It's a game for children, it is harmless fun. But during this game, Ollie went dashing out and he was tackled to the floor by another child, and Ollie broke his very delicate, very malnourished collarbone. And from there on in, British Bulldog was banned for the school. Not our year, not any year got to play it, and Ollie has managed to spoil our fun ever since. Some of you may be thinking that's the only time that Ollie's embarrassed himself in some form of game or sporting event, and you'd be wrong. There was a time in secondary school that we made it through to the Maidstone boys football final. Year 9, it was our proudest moment. It was played at the infamous, world-famous Cobtree Recreation Ground in Ditton. It was big news, proud moments, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Ollie played an attack in this game, and he received the ball at the edge of the 18-yard box, and he saw his opportunity. He went darting into that 18-yard box. He went rushing past the defender, running towards goal. So fast he ran that he ran straight into the goalpost and he knocked himself out. It's safe to say we lost that game. And some would say it's because we lost our star man, Ollie. And some would say it was embarrassment. I would definitely say embarrassment. And on that note, I think it gives you a little bit of an insight into Ollie here. And I'm going to pass you on to Mr. Nicholas Butcher for a little bit more.
Thank you, James. I think the only reason that Ollie asked us to be a part of today was that we actually be able to say something nice about him for once in his life. But one thing I did ponder when he asked us to be a part of his wedding party was what the exact moment was when I knew that today would be happening, when our friendship was truly cemented. Pondering it, I didn't think it was at school during the mid-2000s when I wanted to copy his infamous hairstyles. Certainly not. An honest attempt to look like one of the headbanging guitar-playing guys of Busted on McFly actually made him look like the legendary Coronation Street transgender character Hayley Cropper. I don't think it was a simple slip of the tongue when Mr. Ryan, our maths teacher, one morning, when taking the register, referred to him as Mr. Olivia Meakins. But no, the exact moment I knew that today would be happening was one Monday evening about six and a half years ago. Ollie and Lauren had been together for a year and a half, not that very long at all. And they'd planned a lovely date out at Fort Park with one another. Just the two of them to get to know each other a little bit more. You know the thing. It was a fun day. I'm sitting at home that Monday evening, the day before they're due to go. I'm watching EastEnders or Coronation Street or something like that, and I receive a text from Ollie, which simply says, "Nicholas, cheeky trip to Fort Park with me and Lauren tomorrow morning." Now, ladies and gentlemen, I enjoy a roller coaster and a bag of candy floss as much as the next man, but I knew my boundaries when it comes to a new couple. It would have been an ignorant, obnoxious, short-sighted and quite frankly awkward event to attend. And let's face it, I didn't want to be the third wheel. I took this all into account. I had more dignity than that, ladies and gentlemen. And I pondered all of this and I text back Ollie with my final decision.
I'm on the other side!
We cut to 10 o'clock the next morning and all three of us are at Fort Park. I'm sitting literally in between the future bride and groom on Nemesis Inferno for the third time that morning already. I even offered to pay for the obligatory keyring with our photo on it. But for some reason, Lauren didn't seem too keen. So that was the day and the moment that I knew that we'd end up here today. Because if Lauren didn't tell Ollie to sling his hook after inviting one of his mates along on one of their dates, the writing was always on the wall. Because you do that twice, and we wouldn't be here today at all. Ollie, after all the heart-to-hearts we've had over one too many beers or alco pops, I couldn't be happy for you standing here today. You're a great friend, you're a loyal friend, and although I never aspire to have the same shambolic haircut that you once sported at school, I can only aspire to find the true love that you and Lauren share together. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to hand you over to Mr. Chris Carter, who's known and tolerated Ollie for a lot longer than I have. Chris.
Cheers, Nick. Yeah, tolerated is probably pushing it at best, really. Ollie's all right for a Liverpool fan, I suppose. So for those of you who don't know, for Ollie's stag, as he mentioned, we went off to Amsterdam for the weekend. Full-on weekend of mostly just drinking as much as we physically could for as quickly as we could. And it's safe to say, for about 6 o'clock Friday morning in Gatwick Airport, Elvino really did flow, and at one point or another we were all just a little bit drunk. It was a top quality weekend, lots of high quality male bonding, mostly spent in a room with a group of other blokes all smelling of beer and each other's farts. Fantastic weekend that will live long in my memory, certainly. But it was a weekend full of activities. We did some go-karting, we went and did a little tour of the brewery, we saw the sights of Amsterdam, sampled a bit of the nightlife, you know. Very casual, low-key. But we took absolutely every opportunity we could to stitch up Ollie, from him walking around Gatwick Airport with a suitcase with his own face on it, to some, frankly, as he's touched on, just absolutely shocking outfits. And that's not even including the stuff that we got for him to wear. So I set the scene, Friday afternoon. By this point, we've all had a few drinks. And as is sort of tradition in Amsterdam, and you can imagine, sort of picture Amsterdam, there's people cycling around, going through the canals just on their bikes. And we thought, yeah, let's do some cycling as well. Although slightly less traditionally, we've gone on a beer bike. So a beer bike, basically, if you don't know, is basically a long table with some wheels and a keg of beer, and you vaguely pedal a little bit, and you slightly move and just basically get really drunk. So before that, we've taken a little detour into an office block and a car park. And bless her, the poor receptionist, they didn't have a clue when 16 blokes all stormed the place to go and use the gents at the same time. Security, the look on their face was just absolutely just priceless, really. So after a lot of beer and some frankly dodgy sing-songs on the old bike, led by Dave over there and Joe, go give us a wave. We're very slowly, tenderly making our way back into town, and I'm having a chat with Ollie as we're walking back, and he told me just how quickly he realised how special Lauren was going to be to him, and how very quickly he knew that it really was, honestly, like, you wouldn't believe. But he knew deep down already, after only a few weeks of the meeting on, that she was going to be someone very special to him, and that one day this would today would happen. He knew all along, and it was just a really special, touching moment to share with Ollie. Like I said, I've known Ollie for a long time, and it was just really special to do that. It was made more special for me by the fact that Ollie at this point was wearing a Bavarian beer maid's outfit, and he's fighting desperately to keep from his skirt from blowing up and his pigtails from flying off in the wind. So I'm going to hand over to James, who's got some final words on the bride and groom.
We're nearly there. We are nearly there. Now, Lauren, you're not quite getting away with it. So I do remember the time that we first met. Ollie had mentioned that he started seeing someone from his work, and that he was excited for us to meet us, and they'd been kind enough. Yeah, that as well. And he was kind enough to offer a lift into town for a big night out in Maidstone, which I'm sure some of you have been on, and they are big nights out. And she was going to pick us up from Ollie's house, and I remember opening Ollie's door and looking outside and just seeing some old, beat-up, 5-door Rover saloon. And all I thought is, Ollie's had some form of breakdown and he started dating some 70-year-old man. It was ridiculous. Perhaps John from Lashings, you know, you've got to get free entry somehow, mate. You've got to get free entry. But no, I open the door and the lovely Rover, and I see the ever so lovely Lauren, and I think, well, perhaps she's having the crisis, because quite frankly, this doesn't make any sense. You are punching, my friend. And on that, mate, I really still don't know how you managed to convince Lauren here to go on a date with you, and then buy a house, and then, yeah, maybe a lot of cat. Calls that slur. But, yeah, and then managed to convince her to marry you today, all the while thinking that Lauren's done well in this relationship is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. But on that note, so when researching this speech and copying it directly from the internet, I came across a definition of marriage, and that definition of marriage said that it's about finding that one person that you want to spend the rest of your life with. And I disagree with that sentiment a little bit. I think that marriage is about finding that one person that you can't bear to live your life without. And Ollie, you're lucky enough to find that in Lauren. And on that, ladies and gentlemen, if we could raise our glasses. Thank you.